In this video guide, I'm going to give you X-ray vision for the markets. No, not X-ray vision for the girls' bathrooms. X-ray vision for the markets using the VPVR Volume Profile Visible Range tool. If you want to know how I trade it, the settings I use, and how you can use it to make some serious bank, stick around as I dive right in. G'day guys, Tex here with you, UnityTradingGroup.com. Yes, and I put together this handy little guide for you, and in the coming days, you can head to UnityTradingGroup.com/VPVR, where you will find this guide and a whole lot more on trading with the Volume Profile Visible Range. Definitely a tool that I've added to my arsenal a lot more in the last 12 to 18 months. I share a lot of this inside the Discord, totally free. Hit that link below. First time in 4 months we've opened it up, but I thought I would share this with you because I get asked so many questions about this, and I'm going to give you examples of how I've traded with it in the past and made some really great profits with it. Getting into what the VPVR is the Volume Profile Visible Range tool. And in this guide, we're going to go through understanding the VPVR, the parts of the VPVR, the VPVR settings used by us, because there are some default settings which I don't find to be ideal. I'm going to share with you the best settings that I use to really knuckle down into the weeds of the trading range that you are looking at. The secondary volume profile tools, because as good as the VPVR is, there are some additional tools that you can use to really isolate some select regions of trading data and really get a grip on support and resistance levels. How to make money with the VPR, of course. We're going to give you some previous trades that I've shared with the group that have worked out really well for us. And easy to identify trade shapes, because it's all about the D's, the T's, and the B's. What does that mean? I will show you in just a moment. And previous trade setups that I've shared with the group, of course. So what is the VPVR? It stands for the Volume Profile Visible Range, and that's this sucker on the right-hand side here that you can see. And the VPVR plots a histogram, which you can see here. If you're familiar with MACD, for example, you will understand what a histogram is. It's basically just volume nodes or volume bars showing you buying and selling level for a particular range. And what that does is the one side of the chart that prices with the most traded volume with the current visible range. Now, I'm going to identify and show you this a little bit more live in just a moment, but what these volume nodes are doing are showing you the trading volume within the range that you have on the screen. The VPVR is dynamic, so whatever data or trading range that you were looking at on the screen, the volume profile will adapt to suit that trading range. In short, it helps traders to discover where to put potential buy and sell levels by showing you where trading volume lies. A really handy tool for identifying or confirming resistance and support, or supply and demand levels. Now, the VPVR parts are the point of control. That is this red line here. What is the point of control? Well, the point of control is the price level for the time period with the higher trading volume, or the highest trading volume. So you can see that this red line, which automatically plots when you put on the VPVR, shows this highest trading amount. So from this range here, from the end of November, or October, November, through to where we are now in April 2022, within this select range only, our VPVR is showing us that we are at a very important point for Bitcoin, where the highest trading volume lies around this 46.4 level. That sucker right there. Now, we're going to look at some other things as well. Our profile high, which is the highest reach price level within your visible range, which is this area here, this 62 or that 65 level, showing us that there are some significant points in this point at this chart at around 62, at around 57.5. We have our profile low, which is the lowest reached price level in this range, around 30k. We have the value area, which is the range of the price levels where all volume was traded during the time period. So our value area typically ranges at around 70% of the highest trading volume within that trading area that you were looking at. So really, that's kind of our value area between 50k and 32.5. VPVR settings, which I'm going to get into in a second as well, but you can take a screenshot of this if you like. Your row size, I believe, is set to 24 default on the VPVR, and your value area is also set to 70. I changed my row size to 100, and what that means is that it is taking in more data points, or displaying more data points through those volume nodes that I show you in a moment, those volume bars. The more rows you have, or the higher your row size, the more volume bars are plotted in that particular area. Right, let's get into this. So let's have a look at a live version of where we are, and you can find this by typing in VPVR, which is the volume profile visible range. This is a tool included within Tradingview, but I'm sorry for you guys that don't have the premium or above or the pro above Tradingview subscription. You will not be able to find this in yours. So I believe there was one, I want to say it was called Poor Man's VPVR, but I don't think it's there anymore. So type in VPVR and see what pops up. The highest one there is the silent pseudo VPVR. Pop that on and have a try at that. It may give you some information, but we're just specifically looking at the VPVR here for Tradingview. So you will see that when you change your area, your trading range, so everything will adapt with it. So that's why this secondary VPVR tool is pretty handy that I'm going to show you in just a moment. So the point of control, again, lies right here. We have our volume nodes, which are these suckers here, these yellow and blue bars signifying buying and selling volume. And then you have what are called volume gaps, which are these puppies right here. Now, typically what you would do when you put your VPVR on here, let's just have a look and see where these line up. You can see that they're pretty significant areas when it comes to overlaying it with your own trading strategy. So what you might want to do is you might want to go ahead and put in your support and resistance levels, and then or your supply and demand levels, and then overlay VPVR, because really any sort of technical tool or indicator or oscillator should really only be a confirmation of your TA, which you should understand prior to overlaying it with tools like this to give you just really a secondary confirmation or to confirm a bias on that. So let's continue on as we get into this a little bit further. So let's say, for example, we have gone ahead and we have overlaid our volume nodes, overlaid our support and resistance levels on our volume nodes. We can see that within this particular range here, our highest sort of volume nodes lie really between this area and this area here, this area, and let's say this area here, and this area to sort of here. Now, in between, you have what are called, as I mentioned a moment ago, these volume gaps. And what does that mean? That means that the trading volume really starts to dissipate within that area. So with your point of control, you would assume that when you lie above your point of control, or being your most highest trading volume level, this would act as a level of support. Now, when you are below your point of control, you look to it as a level of resistance. So you can see the significance of that point of control. Above it, we want to see it act as support. Below it, we want to see it act as a level of resistance. And then with these volume nodes and these gaps, we really look to see that when volume starts trading outside of these nodes, that price will kind of fall between these volume gaps down towards, again, the highest level of trading volume in that particular range. So we can see that there really is a little bit of a gap between, let's say, 46.4 down to this 44.45 level, which lines up really well with these previous highs at this particular level. Then again, when things start to fall from, let's say, sort of 44, we look for volume to start going back down towards the highest volume node within that range, which sits about here, and again, that previous high before we were rejected. And again, our volume nodes really lay around this sort of area. You want to take a little bit of an average. I do not go ahead and just put it directly on the highest volume node, of course. You want to see it align with some significant levels of support where we double bottomed there before we ran back up. Now, if we were sitting at this particular level here, let's say, for example, we were sitting here and we've only got this double bottom information, we know that the point of control would still sit around this 46.5 level or 46.3 level, and that if we can get over these hurdles, that is the likely outcome of any moves to the upside. And we can look here to the left hand side where we've got little, structure that sort of doesn't have a great deal happening. It was just a cascade, a fall down directly from there. So we know there is not a great deal of structure holding that back. If we can hold this previous low, where we would head back up at least towards this range high at around that 45,000 level. If we broke that, then it would be up towards that point of control at around $47,000 or 46.4 on the VPVR. So I hope that makes sense. Really, the major points of this are these are your major trading ranges where you've got your higher volume nodes sitting for this particular area. Then you have your volume gaps where price will often fall through down towards the higher trading volume on those nodes. And when you are above your POC or your point of control, we look to have that act as support. When you are below it, we look to have it as a level of resistance until it breaks and we move back up towards these higher volume nodes. So you can see that when we bust through this point of control level, we can see that our higher volume trading level sort of tapers out around that 51.3 sort of level, or let's say this previous high around this 50,900 level. And that really aligns quite well with a very high level of psychological trading ranges for traders. We know that major key numbers like 40k, 30k, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, these big round numbers really act as significant psychological levels for traders. And we can use our volume profile to help us out with that. So if we go to our daily time frame, which we're on, and we zoom right out, we can see that our major trading levels lie around sort of 57.4, 48k, and then we can see that some pretty significant drops back down towards 38. Now, again, I'm using this in the example that's given to me here in front of me, utilizing this VPVR tool. But again, we know that those big round numbers play a high level of psychological importance for traders as well. So let's get into some shapes and some different things that I was going to share with you beforehand. I'm going to show you just quickly as well some trade examples that I've shared in the past here using the VPVR tool on the Litecoin USD chart back on October 1st, 2021, where we had some formations. Now, when you trade with formations, again, overlaying indicators, tools, whatever it is, you're using it as a confirmation of moves towards the upside. So if we break this down here, we had this falling wedge pattern on LTC. We really started seeing volume taper off around that 160 level, and our VPVR sat around 181. So we had a couple of things here telling us that this was a potential confirmed bottom. We had this descending structure, which we had broken out of for you breakout traders. We had broken out of this diagonal where we had retested it a couple of times. We had our custom steamroller indicator signifying that we had reached a bottom. You can hit that 10-day free trial in the link below. We had our RSI bottoming out around this 30 level, and it was starting to tick upwards. And then we had an OBV MACD indicator, which I no longer use, heading into the green. So there was a number of things there telling us that we were headed up towards this point of control. And then 20 days later it took to get to that, we had busted through and then some. So we had made almost 40% on that trade. It was around a 20% move up towards that point of control. So you can see that when we broke up towards this point of control, how it acted as a level of resistance that I mentioned a moment ago. We broke through. Not only that, but we also broke through the 50 fib and this golden ratio zone, very important from a fib standing. Top right-hand side, if you want to know about trading Fibonacci, everything you need to know in that video. And then as we broke above it, it really acted as a level of support. Then we continued more towards the upside, and really you can see how it tapered out around 215 or 213 here, which was the highest volume node for that particular area. And then from there we came back down and we ended up retesting it because the gap through here was quite minimal. There wasn't a great deal of trading volume. We know that traders are likely taking profit at this higher volume node level, and then subsequently we came back down and we retested it. So you can see how that would potentially be the case for here. You know, there may have been quite a bit of selling pressure at around this 47.2 level, and then as we continue up, these are our higher volume traded areas. We can see here there's a volume node here high. If we break that 50, let's say 50,700 level, we can see that there is little structure to the left hand side here holding this back. We have a volume gap from here up towards this 55k level, which sort of runs quite well with that zone just there, and then up again towards this 57.1 level, which aligns really well with this previous let's say rejection level where we rejected quite hard. And you can see that through there as well, from let's say this level to this level, there's a pretty decent volume gap there, with the exception of this little volume node which sticks its finger out there at around 54k. So we know that this volume node here around this 50k level is gonna be significant, because once we break that, I think it will give the market confidence to head back up towards that 58k level. But we really just sort of need to sit at the moment and see where the market takes us. We do know that where we sit right now on this POC, again, things are changing as I put on a different sort of range, that we have a pretty decent level of resistance sitting here, which we know we do. We are headed into a level where our steamroller, our MACD, our Stoch has crossed over, and our OBV is sort of flattening out a little bit, that our support level may lie back down here around that around that 44k level. Why is that the case? You can see pretty obviously that we've got this volume cascade, or this volume gap here. All right, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, come into the Discord and ask me questions, or leave your comments below. Right, now let's get into some shapes. These are really the shapes that you are going to see to help easily identify your buying and selling levels on BTC. So C, we can actually go a lowercase b as well. So BDPB. You don't have to remember what those are. They're not acronyms for anything, but these are the shapes that you will often see when it comes towards your volume profile. And I can spot one on the chart right now. Can you? It's a B. So a B signifies to us that this is our point of control at the B. We can see our B sits right here at our point of control. The highest volume nodes sit right where the B sits. And we have these two gaps up here at the top part and the bottom part of the B. So what does this signify? Well, if we've got a level of support around this area, which we did, around this area, and then we've got a resistance area sitting around here, which we do, and we've got our point of control sitting right here. What did we say about points of control beforehand? Do you remember? We knew that when we sat below our point of control, it acted as a level of resistance. When we sat above it, it acted as a level of support. So when we see that we have a point of control above us and our MACD, our Stoch, or our RSI may be beginning to turn up, and we've got a double bottom here, and we recognize that this is the low of this region. We've got our high up here where our volume nodes are. If these things are starting to tick up, if we can break, let's say, this 39k zone, then this point of control would be our likely level to take some profits, or at least to exit, or exit along, or take some profits on the way up and see what happens at that particular area. Because we've got this volume gap at the bottom of our B, we've got our point of control as our lever to either continue to the upside if we can break through it, or to head back down if we reject from it hard, which we did. And we've got our B profile here, the top of our B, signifying that if we can really break this high at this region, the top of our B then becomes our level to ultimately take profit on that particular trade. Or if you do whatever you want to do. But that would sort of typically how you identify that shape. So let's see if we can find any Ds on our chart. See if the 4 hour gives us anything else in this particular range. Well, we don't so much have a D, but we do have a P in this zone here. So we've got a P. So our point of control lies at the bottom of our P. So that's really going to become a support level if we bust further down from here. But we can see between this level, our previous low, and our current high, that we have a pretty decent little volume gap from here, which sits between this level really between 47 and down to about 44,925, where we've got our point of control right down here at the bottom, but we've got our P shape that shows those volume gaps between there. That's the P. Let's try and find ourselves the D shape. And I'm sorry that I can't find these as readily as I would like, because it's a little bit harder when you're looking at certain things and you're trying to find particular areas. We've got a lot of B's around here, a lot of B's. Let's see if we can find. I don't think we're going to have much luck today on this one, gang. I'm sorry. We've got a B there. The B, which shows our highest point of that trading range. Our POC sitting down here, and we've got a volume gap between here. You could probably almost put like a little mini B in that as well, and then it heads down. So B, D, P, and B. It's going to be a little hard for us to find this, gang. I do apologize. So again, maybe a P shape sort of there as well. You've got a bit of a B shape sitting there as well, and then within that you also have a large B. It's going to be hard to find a large D. You can maybe fit that in there as well, but again, those are the shapes that you really want to look for. You want to look for B, D, P, and B, where you can find visually very quickly those volume profile levels that are significant for you. So how do we then isolate areas further to then go on and find something a little bit more nitty gritty? You go to your indicators, and then you go to volume, and then you've got your, well, I'm just going to find it. One is called fixed range. So that's our volume profile fixed range. What does that mean? That means that we can fix a range from here to here. You pull and drag from there to there, and what that does is it gives you an isolated volume indicator of isolated VPVR for this particular range. So we can see that between this level here and this level here sits our point of control sat down here at around 41,000. That was our highest traded volume, where we did consolidate there before our move up. Now from there as well, you could pull your fibs from low to high and see where your volume nodes align with significant levels, like your 61, which was just above our POC, or our 50 fib, which lines up really well with these higher volume nodes. So we can tell that between this level here, this 42.7 and this 41.4, that we had significant levels of trading volume. It was a significant level in terms of moving through our golden pocket zone. Again, top right hand side if you want to know more about that, trading with Fibonacci. And then if we head down here, these levels here are going to be significant, which aligns really well with our previous highs, our 50 fib and that previous high. And then we've got a little bit of a volume node gap down towards our 78. So again, you can see how that fixed range level works really, really well for identifying isolated areas of support and resistance or significant trading volume in that particular range. Now I'm going to pull it up again. I'm going to go fixed. You've got to pull it up every time, unfortunately. Fixed from here down to here. Boom. Right where we sit right now is our point of control. So had you have then gone on previously, before we had any of this information, pulled from swing high down to swing low from this particular range, because this is our top, down to our local bottom, you can see these, and I'm not even going to look to the right, and I'm going to see what lines up here. I'm literally not even looking to the right hand side. I'm just using this to see where this lines up. Right, so let's have a look at that. So I am physically looking at the right hand side now. That's pretty remarkable. I've purely just used these volume nodes here, and it's identified gaps between here too to find significant levels of support or resistance. That's our point of control, which aligns perfectly with where we sit right now at this 46.9, where we've now rejected, down to this 46.3 level. We had previous little bottoms here. We can start to adjust a little bit there. We had that previous high where we were rejected. Oh, had this previous high where we were rejected. We've got our previous lows down there as well. And then we've got a little bit of a value area sitting here between here and 49.6, or let's say 50k. So between where we sit right now, between 46 and 50k, is a pretty valuable area as well. And I'm just purely out of interest just going to align this and see what shows up. I typically wouldn't draw for such a large area there, but look at that, pretty spookily close, that when you draw your volume profile from swing high down to swing low, we almost get our 23, our 38, our 50 aligns perfect, our 61 aligns almost perfectly, and our 78 almost lines up perfectly with these volume nodes in this particular area. So some pretty spooky stuff on how that works. Again, you can see it as a confirmation tool that when you put everything on your chart, you're overlaying these indicators, these tools, these oscillators, whatever it is, to confirm your TA. So if you had gone through on your levels of support, resistance, supply or demand, overlaid fibs, then overlaid your VPVR, and then align that with where you sit currently with respect to maybe an RSI or a MACD. Again, I will put this in a second video for you to trade with VPVR. If you want to see that, leave the comments below. But again, pretty incredible stuff here. You know, we can see that we're at a top. We're right on our point of control. Things are looking a little wobbly for BTC at this particular moment, even though overall macro, I'm still very bullish. All right, so the session volume is the next one that I'm going to show you. So what session volume does, it's very hard on the high time frames to do this. Now, I would typically go down to a much smaller time frame, even something like the 1 hour time frame, to show you where points of control lie. Because so what happens is that the VPVR will show you for a particular trading session. It obviously would be within like 1 day of trading action or 1 day of session trading. It gives you the point of control for that session for that daily sort of time frame. Now, what I would typically do when I was scalping a lot back in the day is I would go through and I would look to see where these VPVR areas align. So, sorry, our points of control sort of align. So you can sort of see that, you know, between this range, it was a pretty significant level because we had a number of VPVR profile points of control in that particular area, you know, in that area rather, you know, again, lines up quite well here with respect to how our volume aligns. You know, you can pretty much just put your POCs and go through and put in your levels to give you significant levels of support and resistance. So I would try and collate a number of different points of control together and give me an average of where things may sit. So, you know, we know that, again, we've got our point of control sitting right here, and we can see that when volume bounced to the downside, or our trading bounced to the downside, it really aligned well with this previous point of control where we bottomed and found support and then headed back up, and really we have touched perfectly that previous session volume point of control where we have rejected with BTC. So from where we sit now, I'm now looking down towards that 45.9 level as a potential level of support based on the trading volume point of control for that session. So I hope that makes sense. I won't go too far into that because it is a little bit sort of convoluted, but really what you need to know is all outlined here in this VPVR tool right as you see it. So right now for BTC, definitely would look down towards that 44.5 level, maybe even as low as that 44k level if we cannot hold this particular range and break through this high volume node and this previous high at around 47.9. Definitely would show you more information there if I had it on the screen. I do apologize. So again, as we go through and talking about our our session volume, I can't even remember what it was that it just showed you because I wasn't looking at the screen. I do apologize. I'm going to quickly go through this one more time. So when it comes down to your session volume as well, you are really looking at sessions for this. It's the range of about a day where you are looking through. I would go through and I would highlight points of control here and sort of match up multiple levels of points of control, or draw at least sort of your supply and demand level in around where multiple points of control lie. I don't play with this one too much, as I said, but certainly when you look through and you go down to the smaller time frames, you can see that we rejected right there that session volume POC from there, and then we've got some support aligning here around these points of control. But again, as I said, the major factor for me is playing with just the regular old VPVR on the 4 hour and above to give me some indication of where we sit with respect to trading volume in a particular range. So I hope that made sense for you. In the coming days, unitytradinggroup.com/VPVR, where I have all this information in this video outlined. I would love to know your thoughts on the VPVR. Questions below. What do you think? How are you trading with it? Are you finding success with it? Are you utilizing it in a way that we didn't speak about in this video tonight? Please let me know if you'd like to see video 2, where I go through and share with you other indicators and tools that you can use with VPVR to maximize the results and really go deep with that X-ray vision for the markets. I am Tex. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are well. I hope you take care, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.